Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Everybody a little louder. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody, a little louder. Dolce volume. Krishna Krishna, a little louder, please. I can't hear you. One more time, a little louder with your heart. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare One more time, very loudly, meaning it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class, which will be given by Her Grace Vrindavaneshwari Radhika Dasi from ISKCON, Philadelphia.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I accept my humble obeisances. Glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Accept mine.
So, the title for the Bhagavatam class is Canto 1, or the reference is Canto 1, Chapter 13, the Sanskrit Home, and text 38. Okay, so without further ado, Mataji, please begin. Hare Krishna.
Sounds great. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvaradari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Giravaradari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Giravaradari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Asatari Satta's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Asatari Satta's Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai
Yay.
Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai
Yay.
Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai
Yay.
ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai
Yay.
Prem Sigaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Shiva Sati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai
Yay.
Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Gitar Govardhan Ki Jai
Yay.
Mayapurdam Ki Jai
Yay.
Vrindavandam Ki Jai
Yay.
Jamuna Devi Ki Jai Tulsi
Yay.
Devi Ki Jai Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai ISKCON
Yay.
Harrisburg Ki Jai
Yay.
Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Gaur
Yay.
Premanande
Hey, how you go?
All glories the assembled devotees Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna.
All glories the assembled devotees Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
All glories the assembled devotees Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Garanga Hari Hari Bol.
Oh, God.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravana Pacharane Nirvishesha Shrunivadi Pashitate Shatarane. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskricha Narvam Chaiva Narottama Devam Sarasvatim Vyasyam Tato Jayamadhirayat Nastaprayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavati Uttama Shloki Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So, good morning, everyone. Here we are. So we're reading from the first canto, 13th chapter, verse 13, and this is King Parikshit or Maharaj. This is what is this chapter? I totally forgot. So this is Dhritarashtra quits home. Someone quits home. Dhritarashtra
Yes.
quits home.
Dhritarashtra quits home. Yeah, that's correct.
That's the one.
Dhritarashtra quits home. Yes.
Great. So we'll do the verse 3 times, and then we will repeat it together. Atha Jagama Bhagavan Narada Sahatamburu Pratyuta Bhavidavadaya Sanujo Barachayan Munim Atha Jagama Bhagavam Narada Sahatamburu Pratyuthaya Bivadiyaha Sanujo Barachayan Munim Atha Jagama Bhagavan Narada Sahatamburu Pratyuthaya Abhyadhyaya Sanujo Barachayan Munim. Anyone else?
Atha Jagama Bhagavan Narada Sahatamburu Pratyutaya Bivadyaha Sanujopya Chayan Munim Hare Krishna.
Hare
Anyone
Krishna.
else? Good.
अथ आचगम भगवान् नारदः सह तुम्बुरुः प्रत्युत्थाय अभिवादय सनुज अभ्यचरन् मुनिम्.
Okay. Anyone else want to try? Okay, great. So please excuse me, my cat busted in on me during the prayers. So if you see a little tail floating in the background, that's him. Sorry about that. It's pretty funny. He wants to hear Bhagavatam today. He must want some nectar. So
That's
we'll
good
read.
for him.
It is good for him. He's a little stinker. So we'll read translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. While Sanjaya was thus speaking, we'll do synonyms. Atha, thereafter. Ajagama, arrived. Bhagavan, the godly personality. Narada, Saha Tamburu, along with his tamburu, musical instrument. Pratyayuthaya, having gotten up from their seats. Abhivyadya, offering their due obeisances. Aha, said. Sa Anuja, along with their young brothers. Abhyarchayan, thus while receiving in a proper mood. Munam, the sage. Translation. While Sanjaya was thus speaking, Sri Narada, the powerful devotee of the Lord, appeared on the scene carrying his tumburu. Maharaj Yudhisthira and his brothers received him properly by getting up from their seats and offering obeisances. Purport. Devarishi Narada is described herein as Bhagavan due to his being the most confidential devotee of the Lord. The Lord and his very confidential devotees are treated on the same level by those who are actually engaged in the loving service of the Lord. Such confidential devotees of the Lord are very much dear to the Lord because they travel everywhere to preach the glories of the Lord in different capacities and try their utmost to convert the non-devotees of the Lord into devotees in order to bring them to the platform of sanity. Actually, a living being cannot be a non-devotee of the Lord because of his constitutional position. But when one becomes a non-devotee or non-believer, it is to be understood that the person concerned is not in a sound condition of life. The confidential devotees of the Lord treat such illusioned living beings, and therefore they are most pleasing in the eyes of the Lord. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita that no one is dearer to him than one who actually preaches the glories of the Lord to convert the non-believers and non-devotees. Such personalities as Narada must be offered all due respects like those offered to the personality of Godhead himself. And Maharaj Yudhisthira, along with his noble brothers, were examples for others in receiving a pure devotee of the Lord like Narada, who had no other business save and except singing the glories of the Lord along with his veena, a musical stringed instrument. Om Jnana Timirandishya Kinanjana Shalakaya Chakshar Unmilitam Yena Tashme Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svadvadantikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Shiva Sati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Vanchakalpa Trubhischa Kripa Sindhu Bhayavichapati Tanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Pasai Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Charaswami Niti Namane Snekti Chaita Supaneta Vagmanam Tarasa Plutam Prabhupada Gata Pranam Bhakti Charapadam. So we'll read the translation again. While Sanjaya was thus speaking, Sri Narada, the powerful devotee of the Lord, appeared on the scene carrying his tamburu. Maharaj Yudhisthira and his brothers received him properly by getting up from their seats and offering obeisances. So there's a couple of things in here that I wanted to draw out. The first one is really the Sri Narada appeared, and he does that. You know, Sri Narada likes to just kind of show up places when he feels he needs to impart some information or correct a situation or speak about the Lord. And this is what he does. This is what Narada Muni does. He is there to help further the pastimes of the Lord and his devotees, and to preach about the Lord. And so Narada Muni showed up here, and he's about to speak to the assembly of Yudhisthira and his brothers as they are lamenting Dhritarashtra's disappearance. They don't know where he went. And so here, Prabhupada is giving us a clear understanding of who Narada Muni is. Narada Muni is a confidential devotee of the Lord. He's very exalted. And like I said, Narada Muni shows up a lot in different pastimes within the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he's very high up. I mean, he is an extremely confidential devotee of the Lord. And Prabhupada tells us that the devotees of the Lord are treated on the same level by those who are actually engaged in the loving service of the Lord. So a confidential devotee of the Lord is very much dear to the Lord because they travel everywhere to preach the glories of the Lord in different capacities and try their utmost to convert the non-devotees of the Lord into devotees in order to bring them to the platform of sanity. So here, Prabhupada is helping us understand that those who have not understood their true constitutional position are insane, right? Because it is every living entity that their true constitutional position is to have a relationship with the Lord, right? This is already part of our constitution as the soul, right? Our Atma, the Atma is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. This is the Paramatma in our hearts. Paramatma is the Supreme Lord there, just in our hearts and in a minute form, there to guide us, right? So we know that every living entity possesses the soul and super soul. So when we don't recognize our constitutional position to have a relationship with the Lord, one might consider us not of sound mind, as Prabhupada says here. Okay, they're not in a sound condition of life, which means that we don't understand our nature, who we belong to. It's like, you might say that someone who is walking around when it's light out saying it's dark, pointing out different things, saying that, a dog is an elephant, and that a house is a boat, So, you might say they're not in very sound mind. Something's wrong with them, right? And the same thing that a devotee might say to someone that's, might think of someone that is very much saying God doesn't exist. This material world is all there is. I must enjoy. They might think, I might question, where you're going here in your brain. This is not sound. This is not a sound way to be in the world. Okay. So we can look at it from those perspectives. It's very obvious when we see someone calling a dog an elephant, when we say something's wrong here, right? So we can see that on the material platform that we might question that. But Prabhupada's here trying to help us understand that a non-devotee of the Lord is also not sound. They're not of sound mind because they're ignoring their relationship. They're ignoring who they are. And they're denying the existence of the Lord, really, because anyone that is trying to be the controller themselves is in effect trying to deny the existence of God in their lives, the existence of Krishna in their lives, because they are trying to be the controller. They feel that they can control material nature. They can go out and do what they want without any consequences, right? And we know that in the karma yoga system that there is action and reaction. And so anyone that doesn't acknowledge that is not of sound mind. There is always a reaction to action. Okay, we can see that even in chemistry, right? Parikshit Prabhu might know this, chemistry, there's always there's reactions, right? In chemical formulas, you have the formula and you have the reaction, what's happening. So, and this is the same in the material world, that there's an action and a reaction. So Narada Muni is the Deva Rishi, Narada Muni, he is the great transcendental traveler. He travels all over and he tries to convert the non-devotees. Now, it's recommended in the different stages of devotional life. There's three, levels. There's the Kanishta Adhikari, the Madhya Adhikari, and the Uttama Adhikari. That in the Kanishta Adhikari stage, we might just try and really try and focus on our own devotional life, and converting non-devotees can be difficult. So we're really trying to look at, cultivating our own devotional practice and just preaching out there to people who are favorable. But someone like Narada Muni, is very elevated. He's really above all of that. And that Uttama Adhikari, he's going to go out and he sees everyone as a devotee truly, because he knows the constitutional position. He's going to try and bring them to sanity. That's his role. That's what Narada Muni's role is. And Prabhupada says here that anyone that tries to preach the glories of Krishna is most dear to him, most dear to him. And in Bhagavad Gita, this is a very well-known verse. Ya idam paramam guyam mad bhakte teshva adi hatyati bhaktamai param kritva mam evai yasti ashamya yaha. And it says, for one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. And so here it says, there's no servant in the world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. So Krishna is saying, and I declare that he who studies the sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence. And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. So Krishna here is making it very clear in the Bhagavad Gita. He's telling this to Arjuna. He's saying that those who go out and preach, that those who try to bring this knowledge to the world are the most dear to the Lord. They're the most dear to the Lord. And so this is also why Maharaj Yudhisthira is everyone's, acknowledging, they're all receiving him properly. They're getting up from their seats, they're offering obeisances, because Narada Muni is one of the most elevated, the most, and he is the confidential devotee of the Lord. He is the most elevated in doing this. And when I was reading this verse, it reminded me of a song from Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And so I thought I would share that. It's Narada Muni by Jai Veena. And this is a really lovely song. It's one of the bhajans that we sing sometimes in the temple. So I thought I'd kind of sing the song. My voice is scratchy today. My apologies, but I thought I would just sing it because it's such a beautiful song about Narada Muni and it really glorifies him. And then read through the translations. And then we can talk a little bit. Prabhupada gives a really nice purport on this as well, which is glorifying Narada Muni. So it's Narada Muni Bhaja Veena Radhika Ramana Name Nama Mani Utita Haya Bhakata Gita Same Haminadara Barishagana Shravana Yuga Legiya Bhakata Jana Sagane Nache Boria Panahiya Madhuri Pura Ashavapasi Mataya Jagata Jane Kehova Kanda Kehova Nachi Keho Mata Mane Mani Pachavadana Narada Dore Premera Sagana Ro Kamalashana Nachia Bole Bolo Bolo Hari Bolo Sahasranana Paramasuke Hari Hari Bolo Gaya Nama Prabhava Matila Vishva Nama Rasa Sabe Paya Shri Krishna Nama Rashane Spuri Puralo Amasa Shri Rupa Pade Yacheyahiha Bhakti Vinod Dasa Narada Muni Bhaja Veena Radhika Ramana Name.
Hey, yeah, that was nice.
Narada Muni ki jai. So I'll read the translation to this beautiful song by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, which we know has been beautifully prolific. I mean, just all of his songs. I have a couple of his songbooks, and some of them are heavy, but this is a beautiful one, really just glorifying Narada Muni. So I'll read the translation. When the great soul Narada Muni plays his string veena, the holy name of Radhika Raman descends and immediately appears amidst the kirtan of the Lord's devotees. Like a monsoon cloud, the holy name showers pure nectar into their ears. Due to great ecstasy, all the devotees enthusiastically dance to their heart's content. All the inhabitants of the universe become maddened upon entering these intoxicating showers of divine sweetness. Some people cry, some dance, and others become fully intoxicated within their minds. Five-faced Lord Shiva embraces Narada Muni and repeatedly shouts in ecstasy, while Lord Brahma dances very ecstatically and exclaims, all of you chant Hari Bol, Hari Bol. In supreme happiness, thousand-faced Ananta Shesh sings and calls out, Hari, Hari. By the influence of the transcendental vibration of the holy name, the whole universe becomes mad with ecstasy as everyone relishes the mellows of the holy name. The holy name of Sri Krishna has fulfilled all my desires by thus manifesting on everyone's tongue. Bhakti Vinod, the humble servant of the Lord, therefore prays at the feet of Sri Rupa Goswami that the chanting of Harinam may always continue this way. So, and Prabhupada wrote a nice purport to this as well. This is a song sung by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. The purport of this song is that the great soul Narada Muni is playing his stringed instrument called the Veena and vibrating Radhika Raman, one of Krishna's names. So as soon as he plucks the strings and chants, all the devotees immediately respond to him, and it becomes a very beautiful vibration. Amiya Dara Barisha Gana. As the singing goes on with stringed instrument, it appears there's a shower of nectar, and all the devotees then dance in ecstasy to the fullest extent of their satisfaction. Then, as they dance, it appears that they become intoxicated by drinking the beverage called Madhuri Pura. As one becomes most mad by drinking, similarly, all the devotees become mad in ecstasy. And some of them are crying, some of them are dancing, some of them, although they cannot dance publicly, are dancing within their hearts. Then Lord Shiva embraces Narada Muni and begins to dance and cry out in ecstasy. And when Lord Brahma sees Lord Shiva dancing with Narada Muni, he joins in and says, all of you kindly chant Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Then gradually the king of heaven, Indra, also joins in with great satisfaction and begins to dance and to chant Hari, Hari Bol. In this way, by the influence of the transcendental vibration of the holy name of God, the whole universe becomes ecstatic. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, when the whole universe becomes ecstatic in this way, my desires are satisfied, and I therefore pray unto the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami that the chanting of Harinam may go on nicely like this. So I wanted to share that just because it's just a sweet, sweet song glorifying Narada Muni, but also Narada Muni, what is he doing? He's glorifying the Lord, and he's playing his veena or his tamburu. He's playing this, and he's bringing the holy names to the universe. He's getting everyone to chant, everyone to sing and glorify the Lord. Hari Bol, Hare, Hare, right? So he's just enlivening everyone. They're so ecstatic with this song and the veena and all of the emotion of glorifying Lord Sri Krishna. And even, Lord Brahma, Lord Indra, they're all coming to glorify the Lord. And so, and this is Narada Muni's most confident, he's most confidential to the Lord because this is what he does. This is who he is. Narada Muni is that's his whole role in existence, is to glorify the Lord and go around spreading the holy name, spreading, and he's on a kind of a permanent Harinam, right? So this weekend we have Gita Jayanti on Saturday, which is a wonderful, wonderful day to celebrate, to go out on Harinam, and to spread the names of the Lord. Gita Jayanti is celebrating the appearance of Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita, the song of God, right? The Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna. So Krishna is giving us his own words to help us in our devotional path. He's giving us his own knowledge and his sharing this to help his devotees. So this Saturday, maybe you're reading the Bhagavad Gita, maybe the English or the Sanskrit Sanskrit, maybe you're going out on Harinam and book distribution. So hopefully you're doing something to celebrate this really wonderful day, because think about it, where would we be if the Bhagavad Gita didn't exist? I mean, how did a lot of you come to devotional life? Maybe you met a devotee, but at some point, did someone hand you a Bhagavad Gita and say, hey, read this, right? The Bhagavad Gita, so what do we do as devotees? We try and also open people's hearts to the Lord through sharing Bhagavad Gita. And so one of the things, Bhakti Garden has taken on, we've made our own pledge to the National Sankirtan or in the Harinam to be able to, distribute a certain number of books. And so, we're charged with that challenge. And why do we do that? Why did Prabhupada say the most important thing to me is that you distribute my books? Distribute these books, distribute them, but read them first, right? Right? Know what you're distributing so you can help people understand what's in the books, but distribute his books, because this is what is going to help waken people. This is going to help bring people to the platform of sanity. This is what is going to help us become very dear to the Lord. This is the service that really, Krishna told us this in Bhagavad Gita. He said, those that read it, those who understand this confidential knowledge, those who tell others about it, they are the most dear to him, the most dear. And so we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to go out and share this knowledge from the Lord. And so in this process of sharing, and there's also this process of studying and understanding and bringing ourselves to a platform of sanity too, right? Because physician, heal thyself. So in going out and preaching, there's also the internal process of also working to heal our own self. Prabhupada said we're all in this hospital together, right? We all showed up here in the material world because, well, we didn't make it home to Godhead this lifetime, right? Obviously, we're still here, right? In this material platform. So obviously, we still have work to do. And we're part of Lord Chaitanya's movement. So that's pretty cool that we've got to come during this golden age of Lord Chaitanya, which means that in the process of healing ourselves, we can also go out and spread the word of Lord Chaitanya and spread the word of the Lord. Now, one of the things, I was actually going back to Narada Muni. Whenever we have conversations about Narada Muni, I like to bring out the Narada Bhakti Sutra book, which is a great book. And this is, this is a really nice, I don't know if any of you have this, it's a really nice book on Bhakti. And it just gives a really wonderful understanding of the value. It's, there's just different chapters, the value of devotion, defining Bhakti, the means of achievement, pure and mixed devotion, and then attaining perfection. So, what are the means of achievement, right? So how do we achieve Bhakti? And how do we come to this place of devotional service? And so here, I'll read a couple of the verses here, the texts in here, that chapter 3, it says, standard authorities have described the methods for achieving devotional service. One achieves bhakti by giving up sense gratification and mundane association. One achieves bhakti by worshiping the Lord ceaselessly, right? One achieves bhakti by hearing and chanting about the Supreme Lord's special qualities, even while engaged in ordinary activities of life in this world. So that means that even when we're just engaged in our everyday activities, it's said that we should be also remembering the Lord somehow. And so here in this purport, it says someone might say that Narada is being unreasonable in advocating for uninterrupted loving service. So is he being unreasonable? How can those who are busy with duties in the world maintain constant bhajana? But Narada, like all acharyas, is well aware of the worldly situation and the jiva's predicament. Thus, he recommends Shravana Kirtanam, hearing and chanting about the Lord, for all persons at all times. An outstanding example of a Krishna-conscious devotee who is busy in the world is Arjuna, Krishna's friend. And it was Lord Krishna himself who insisted that Arjuna not renounce the battlefield in favor of meditation. And he says, therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without a doubt. And Srila Prabhupada writes, the Lord never suggests anything impractical. If he, Arjuna, doesn't practice remembering Krishna while he is struggling for existence, then it will not be possible for him to remember Krishna at the time of death. That's really important. I think that's, I think as devotees, excuse me, we know Narada Muni, he's always thinking about the Lord. And so he's the one kind of passing this on, right? This is the wisdom of Narada Muni to say, hey, all the time, every time, throughout your day, no matter what you're doing, keep your connection, think about the Lord. And I love this purport because it says, is he being unreasonable? Is he? I don't know. I mean, it might feel like that sometimes because we get so engrossed in what we might be doing. You get pulled into work. Maybe you get pulled into some activity, and you might realize that it's been a couple of hours may have gone by. And as a devotee, we might think, oh, Hari Bol, like Hare Krishna. Have I said the name Krishna? Have I chanted at all in this last couple of hours? Have I done anything to remember the Lord? Have I looked at a picture or said a prayer, right? And hopefully we gradually come to that platform, and that's a goal, right? So what do we do is we set these goals of how to remember the Lord, right? The Priyojana Abhidaya, right? This is the Sambandhana. Sambandhana is the relationship with this Priyojana, and the Abhijaya. This is the goal, the outcome. So how do we set those goals? We know the goal is, but how do we find ourselves in our day-to-day life, increasing our remembrance of the Lord? How do we increase our sanity, as Prabhupada says? How do we improve that situation? Because there might be times when we are kind of like, whoops, I'm not very awake today. I'm not very conscious. I'm not very Krishna conscious today. I know I personally have days like that. I mean, I'm not so elevated. I have lots of days like that where I'm just like, whoops, I guess I'm not very focused in today, and I'm not very, linked in, plugged in, So what do we do to increase our sanity and peace of mind in relationship with Krishna? So here Prabhupada says too, it says, the Lord never suggests anything impractical, so then he's telling us, he never suggests anything impractical. Still, the question remains, how can an active person perform double duty? Does it feel like double duty sometimes, working and chanting at the same time? Right? I think this is very relevant for today's world because it might feel like double duty. How am I going to get my rounds in, get to work, exercise, eat properly, take care of my children, pack their lunches, all of these things, to do my service for the temple? How do I get all this packed into and sleep within a 24-hour period? Does it feel like we have to clone ourselves, do double duty? But here it says that it is possible through love. So Prabhupada gave the example of a man who goes to work in an office while his young son is very ill at home. Out of natural affection, the father is always thinking, how is the boy? Another example given by the Acharyas concerns a married woman's attachment for her paramour. The wife always thinks of her lover even while doing her husband's chores. And this is something that's given also in the Bhagavan, or in Srimad Bhagavatam, is in, they talk about the gopis, they're sweeping, they're doing their chores, they're taking care of their husbands, but they're thinking of Krishna always, right? So is it our hearts? Where is our hearts? And do we catch ourselves daydreaming during the day? Maybe daydreaming about, I'd like to, do this, or daydreaming, thinking about someone, or so can we somehow transfer that to daydreaming about our relationship with Krishna? Or maybe getting kirtan stuck in our head. That's a favorite one of mine. Right? The more that you listen to kirtan, there's so many beautiful melodies out there that can just get stuck in our head. And so we can really do our double duty by just having some kirtan in the background, right? To hear, especially if we're not on the phone a lot, or maybe just have it softly so that it can't be heard, that we can have this constantly in our hearts, and it's constantly reminding us. So in the same way, we should always remember the supreme lover, Sri Krishna, even while meticulously discharging our material duties. If we say, but I lack a strong love for Krishna, the only remedy is Vaidhi Bhakti. The very purpose of this training stage of Bhakti is to bring out our original love for God just as striking a match brings out a flame. So among all the devotional practices, the foremost are Shravana, Kirtana, and Vishnu, hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. So I think that that's really, really instructional for all stages, I think, of bhakti, because the material world can easily grab us and distract us from our love of God. But here, it even says, what if my love of Krishna is not so strong? This is here in this book. Probably, there's this purport here, and Prabhupada's helping us understand this too. That what if, right? This is a dilemma. So we have to be honest with ourselves. It's really important, and I bring this up, throughout different classes, but that self-reflection, the honesty to say, do I have a deep love for Krishna? Do I really want, how much do I really want this relationship? How much am I doing it because I know it's the right thing to do, but am I really connected to the process? These are things that we can ask ourselves, this self-inventory, this checking in to say, okay, well, maybe I am struggling a little bit with my relationship with Krishna. And maybe that does need to, that if I'm honest with myself, I can say, okay, maybe that does need to improve a little bit. Maybe I am still very much trying to control things, just very tied to my own individuality, my own persona, my own, anarthas that are kind of there pulling me down these weeds. And maybe this is just it. This is something I'm struggling with. And that actually can open our hearts up. Once we identify any difficulties that we're having, our hearts can open up, and then that leaves space for Krishna. But if we're in this space of not really seeing where we're at in our hearts, then we'll never have the opportunity to cry out to Krishna, to say, help me. I see that this is something I'm lacking. Krishna, I feel that I could love you more, but I'm not. Why? Why am I not loving you more? Am I very attached to this, these activities in my life? I'm very attached to things that aren't going to bring me true happiness. But Krishna, I want to love you. I want to sing the glories of your name. I want to talk the glories of your name, talk to others about the glories of your name. I want that, but yet I'm not there yet. So in this process, right, it's said here, this is what Vaidhi Bhakti is for. And Vaidhi Bhakti is not to be, looked down on as some like, oh, that's just for beginners, that's the Kanista Adhikari. Those just beginners, right? But when I've talked about this before, when you're training in martial arts, so I've done martial arts training for many, many years, and they always say to keep a beginner's mindset. Never think that we are expert. If we keep a beginner's mindset in our bhakti, we always just think, I am a beginner at this. I'm keeping a beginner's mindset. It keeps us open to learning. It keeps us open to growing. And the basics are always the foundation. And as soon as we lose touch with the basics in anything, and as soon as we lose touch with the basics in our hearts and our lives, we are going to then be on a shaky foundation. Because if those basics start to erode, now everything we've tried to build on top of it becomes very unsteady. So we stay at that Vaidhi Bhakti stage, that sadhana bhakti, that is critical it's really critical that we keep to that remembrance of Shravana, Kirtana, Vishnu, because that is what will constantly bring us back to Krishna. When we stray, when we get lost, that is going to bring us back to remembering, right? Hearing, chanting, remembering. That's it. That's the mantra. That is it. And so when we are going out on Harinam and we're sharing this with others, we're sharing this is the Shravanam Kirtanam. We're sharing, we're talking about the Lord. So it's not only benefiting others, we're benefiting ourselves too. We're continuing to keep that foundation strong, or we're strengthening that foundation by also speaking to others about the glories of Krishna. So when we look at it as we want to go out, we want to try and save the world, that's great. Trying to convert others, okay. But I think it's more about the more we connect to the true purpose, which is the sharing of Krishna's names, which is benefiting not just them, but us. So there might be a little selfish motive in there, but that's okay, right? Because if we're also trying to help ourselves in the process of helping others, there can be some benefit there for us too. We can see that there's a win. It's a win-win situation. And in our human condition, sometimes we need to feel that we're getting something out of it too, right? This is the conditioned mind. This is the conditioned mindset of the jivas that, well, what's in it for me? We may not say it outwardly, but it's the jiva wants to know, like, well, what do I get out of this? Am I going to get some boons and benefits? Krishna's going to love me more, but maybe it'll just soften my heart more. It'll make me love Krishna more, right? We all want Krishna to love us more, but can we love Krishna more? That's the hard thing. It's like we want all the glory and the mercy from Krishna, but what are we giving back to Krishna, right? What are we willing to give extra? Can we give more of our heart? Yeah, we can maybe do extra service at the temple, but can we give more of our heart? Can we give more of our mind to Krishna and give up some of the mundane activities in our mind and say, Krishna, I'm going to just think of you more. That's what I'm giving to you, is myself, more of myself. That's what Krishna wants. He wants us. He wants more of us. He wants us to love him because he loves us unconditionally. He's always there. He's going to love us a bajillion times more than we could ever love him. But if we just make the effort to love him just a little bit more and to think about him just a little bit more, that's all Krishna really wants. Right. So anyway, I'll leave it here and I will open up the discussion for any questions, reflections, comments, etc.
Thank you very much. This is a very, very nice lecture. And I was taking some notes, a lot of takeaways right from the beginning, what you were talking about, that we're not of sound mind if we do not relate to the Supreme Personality of God. It's so true. The people who deny God, I wonder where their minds are at or how they have been indoctrinated with something totally different, because nobody can define nature and nobody can understand nature, but we know nature is there and we depend on nature. But nature has to have some engineer, a person that put it there.
Right.
So that's just the reasoning that even an atheist should be able to follow, that there is someone behind things. Things just don't come to be. Somebody makes them.
Right.
And there's so much about nature. So that was a very, very important point, that actually a person that does not believe the engineer of nature, then they're not of sound mind. So, yeah. And those are controllers denying God in their lives. But of course, then you mentioned there's karma, there's payback, there's sinful, we do sinful activities and there'll be sinful reactions to that. But while you were talking, I also did a little search. The holy name is all around the world. Then I looked at the United States, but I don't think that we have ISKCON centers in South Carolina. No. I don't think there's one in Maine. I don't think there's one in New Hampshire.
We have some work to do.
Yes. Yes. So I looked up and I actually literally Googled ISKCON, because if it's there, then the address would come up and the times it's open would come up. And none of that. I saw a Hindu temple of those places, but not an ISKCON temple. And in Hinduism, they don't put most of the temples you go there's Lord Ram, which is good. Lord Ram is this central figure. Yeah, Ram, Sita, Lakshman, Hanuman. But then every Hindu temple that I've been, there's only a few, but the ones that I've been in there, there's also the demigods, multitudes of them. But then they have Radha and Krishna along with the demigods at that level, same level. Sometimes even the size of the deities are the same for the demigods as Radha and Krishna. And that has always disturbed me. But anyway, that's not exactly Srila Prabhupada's teachings at all. I mean, these Hindu temples, they do something different. So yeah, we do have some work to do in this. And I was wondering, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but if somebody wants to go to those states, how would they start off?
Oh, no, that's a great question. I love it.
Oh, good. I'm glad you do.
I'm an entrepreneur. I love these things.
Yes. Great. Yes. Good.
Yeah. So you have to have a little bit of an entrepreneurial spirit, I guess. But the the first thing is to just, you go if you wanted to go to Maine, or I'm sure there might be little centers or home programs up there. We don't know, but that aren't, published as ISKCON. But the first thing to do is just go and start, establish yourself in your home, in your residence, and have good sadhana in your home. And then start putting yourself out there to whoever is around, finding a favorable community, whether it's a yoga studio, or maybe looking to find like a meditation center, or maybe it's just like a multi-denominational church that might be open to you coming and doing kirtan, once a month or once a week or something like that, or maybe giving a Bhagavad Gita class or something like that. So that you understand the local environment first, because you can't just plow in there and be like, you're going to accept this, I'm going to preach to you, right? That never works. So it's going and understanding the local environment. And I think that's really important. My husband and I just moved out from the city to a it's like a country, I call it the country burbs, but we're in Chester County now. And so we bought a home here, and we're holding programs in our home once or twice a month, but we are trying to get a flavor for where we might be able to tuck in to some existing things, because we want to expand Bhakti Garden eventually out here. We have Bhakti Garden in Center City, but the goal is to have Bhakti Gardens all over the world, all over the country, at least these college type preaching centers. So the Bhakti Garden concept is to kind of, focus really on like college and people in the yoga community, and then, be able to kind of get them over to the ISKCON, to the bigger temples. And so we're in this place, we're trying to dip our toes in. I dipped my toes in at a fitness studio that has yoga classes to see if maybe we could do kirtan there. And I was like, lukewarm. They're very like exercise based. So I'm like, okay, let's try another avenue. So it's really kind of just feeling it out. There's also the other thing that can be done is a lot of places have little free libraries, and see if those local regions have those little free libraries that people put out in front of their house. They do the book exchange out of that. Have you seen those little free libraries?
No.
Oh, they're great.
But it's a great idea.
Yeah. So you can even put one in front of your house and have copies of Bhagavad Gita, just like free books here, so, and then go around and see if there's other places that have little free libraries that you could put them in. So there's different ways to kind of distribute some of Prabhupada's books in that way. The little free libraries, Ed and I, when we lived in Mount Airy, right by the ISKCON Philly temple, we would drive around with a car full of books, and we found like 30 little free libraries in the area of the temple. And we would just drive around and just stick Bhagavad Gitas in all of them.
Wow. That was wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, we would do that like once or twice a month, but we just go pop books in the little free libraries, and maybe put a little card in there with the mantra card and the Philly location. So that's another really great opportunity, is that you can just do things like that. If you are going to host some things at your home, then you maybe start a meetup group. Meetup groups are really great. You can do Eventbrite, and you can do stuff on there. So don't get me started, Prabhu.
But it's a wonderful idea. Believe you me, I'm writing as you're talking different ideas. So I would say don't stop. Actually, keep going. If you boys have other questions, you can put up your hand, and then we'll just call you. But these are, Srila Prabhupada's mission was to, actually, Lord Chaitanya's prediction and Srila Prabhupada's mission was to spread the holy name in every town and village.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way, the way to do it is to get it to the villages. So if you have entrepreneurial spirit, then maybe, Guru and Gauranga have maybe asked this question because it makes it possible to, people hearing the answers to this would get ideas about how to go about. I didn't know there were free libraries. I didn't know at all there were free libraries. And it doesn't require much, just to stick a table out there and then putting stuff.
It's just a little box. Yeah, it's like a little box. It's a weatherproof box that you can stick, you can put it in your front yard. And it says little free library.
Okay, then you label it free library.
Yeah,
and people
then
can come take it.
People can come and take books, and they can leave books too.
Yeah, what I did one time, I'll just bring it to a personal level, but sometimes in this house here, we have large comforters that our washing machine doesn't wash so well. So we'll go to a professional laundromat. And every time I go there, I'll take some books with me, and sometimes I take a book to read, but then I'll take an extra book and leave it there.
Yeah.
And I've been there a few times and realized that the devotee books, next time I come, they're gone.
Uh-huh.
People actually do take them.
People take them.
And there's a long time I thought it was just there for people to read and people can come read it. But obviously, if somebody takes it, then it's not valuable to them.
Yeah.
For them to, take them home. But I was very encouraged by that. I said, okay, well, I left some more books there.
There you go.
And I said, well, then I can look up and see what the laundromat addresses around town are, and then go see what it looks like there, and leave books there too. So I know about laundromat thing, but
that's a good idea because people are sitting there waiting for their laundry, so something to read.
Yeah. Okay, so
Kirtan
and yoga, free libraries, and I'd like to talk to you more about ideas about how to get things out, there at the Srila Prabhupada's books and other books. My Guru Maharaj's books too, sometimes I take them and I'll have those there too.
Yeah.
This is wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Happy to help. Like I said, I mean, it's just a matter of putting yourself out there and knowing the technology too. I mean, we live in an age of social media and technology. So it becomes very accessible to start a meetup group, I mean, what does it take to start a meetup group in your area?
Yeah.
Or to go on to Nextdoor and say, hey guys, anyone interested? I'm doing this this bhakti yoga thing, or I'm doing some free music and some free vegetarian food at my house if you want to come over. And we're doing some, music from India. Please join us, And so there's so many avenues to reach people that you just.
Yeah. Actually, there was one lady a long time, almost a year ago, living in our neighborhood when we ran into, I think he was walking his dog or something. And then he said, I know I was when I was out. So she said to me that, I like to meet people in neighborhoods. Sometimes you can stop by. I remember who she is. So that's one person to go to and, start up something like that with them if they're interested in getting to know, from this meetup group idea. These are all wonderful ideas. I'll call you and ask for even more ideas.
Anytime, Pariksha Prabhu, anytime.
Okay. Bhakti Garden, college preaching, Kirtan and yoga classes, free books, free libraries, and meetup group. That's what I had down so far.
Sounds good.
Anyway, so this is wonderful. Hare Krishna. Does anyone want to contribute or ask a question or talk about something which is a take home for them? Anybody?
I want to Hare Krishna, Vrindavanshi. I want to apologize for joining the class 2 minutes ago.
No worries.
I had another service that I had to do, and I just ended that and jumped on this, whatever little I could get. So I thank you for actually making yourself available to give this class. I want to appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And I want to ask something about this. You were talking about being honest with oneself. Krishna, I feel I can love you more and I want to love you more, but it's not there yet. That is a thought that goes through my mind. And actually, And Sia was saying the other day when Mother Kalini and Gita Nagri was his senior Srila Prabhupada disciple.
Yeah.
She's left us now, but when she was leaving, and she said, and she was saying that she appreciated what Mother Kalini had done. Mother Kalini responded that she hadn't done much. You want to talk about it a little bit yourself?
Oh yeah, please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, I got a lot of my training from very senior proper disciples, Satsuma disciples, of course, my seniors and my spiritual master. When she was leaving her body with cancer, I forgot what cancer it was, but it was around 2015, I remember that. And she moved to Gitnagri in 74, you know, very, very young. She had a 2 or 3-year-old son. And at the time, you know, in the old ISKCON days, the husbands would take sannyas at a very young age, leaving the Matajis with the child. And she was one of those candidates. And she never left Gitanagri, 74 up until 2015. She did leave a couple of years when her health got very bad because of cancer. But she came back to Gitanagri after 2 years to leave her body. And she said, and we all told her, you know, Mother Kalini, you know, you've done so much for Srila Prabhupada. You know, I'm sure you're going to go back to God. You're like, you've got your ticket. And she says, I haven't done much. She says, there's so much more to do. There's so much room for improvement. I haven't done much. And when she said that, I had my mouth dropped open. I was like, what? Because I know what she did. And what she did, at least today's time, I don't know of anyone else. I'm sure there are, but I don't know of anyone else that have done what she did. I mean, she was like the sole survivor of Gitanagri during the difficult times. Being in a women body wasn't difficult. You know, for her to hold a fort down of 355 acres was no joke.
Yeah, it's insane.
But when she had that mood, you know, she always had that mood, you know, I haven't done much, I could do more. So that was what I always remember that. I always remember that.
Yeah, so many, you see so many Prabhupada's disciples that just want to serve and serve and serve and serve and serve. And they just, I've heard it from a lot of Prabhupada disciples, like, I'm not doing enough, I'm not doing enough. And it's like, you don't understand what you've done. Like, you've kept the movement alive. Like, you know, that is alone, you know, worth its weight. I mean, you know, without the Prabhupada disciples, we wouldn't have ISKCON today.
Yeah, that's very true.
You know, we wouldn't have all of our gurus that we've all taken initiation from.
Yeah, and now they even on YouTube, they're playing videos of the memories of some of the Srila Prabhupada disciples, saying things that they had, interactions with Srila Prabhupada himself and how they felt. And it's very, 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 very wonderful. And they all have different moods themselves. That's true of people in general. So some of them, they talk and they act out practically. They imitate your Prabhupada's facial expressions and everything. It's very, very, very interesting, you know, to watch. They make you feel like you were there, you know, literally, when they are describing it. And you learn a lot too, because when they talk about your Prabhupada's response to things that they did, when they did something wrong, when they did something right, and how Srila Prabhupada responded to it. It's almost like they're preaching to you then, because this is from the spiritual master, you know, as to what to do to be a better devotee. So this was wonderful. And some of them are very, very, very funny. You know, and anyway, I feel like telling one of them, but I don't know whether you have the time to do that. Is that okay?
Where are these videos? Is this like on the
it's called, if you just search on YouTube, Remembering Srila Prabhupada.
Okay.
Remembering Srila Prabhupada, it'll come right up.
Okay, I'm going to do that.
And there's a whole bunch of videos. There's a whole bunch of videos. You know, tens of, you know, almost 100 of them.
Wow.
So once you get your YouTube going, you know, it'll pop up one after another. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. I love it. Thank you, Prabhu. I'm gonna definitely key into those.
This is good for the discussion. By the way, dear Krishna Prabhu put a message in the chat. Very nice, very wonderful class. Because he wanted to thank you for your class, and I second that.
Thank you, Prabhu. This is my
Krishna,
pleasure. I love being here with all of you, and it's an honor to, be part of the ISKCON Harrisburg
This is-
community here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, I'll stop the share because here you are. We see you big now. Hare Krishna. So, anybody with some more comments or questions? This is okay.
Thank
If
you.
not, then thank all of you for coming and participating in this. And yes, one point you was just wondering yourself, Brother Navneshwari, about the Gita Jayanti. Yes, we are reading in Harrisburg on Saturday.
Great.
Saturday, we're reading the Bhagavad Gita, the English translation the whole way through from beginning to end. It may take about 3 hours. Yeah, so
3
we're
hours.
starting in the afternoon and it should be, I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent.
Yes, I'm sure, you'll do something in your end too. Okay.
Yeah, well, happy
So-
Gita Jayanti, everyone.
Yeah.
Celebration.
You too, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Vanchakaptibhyascha
Yeah.
Kritisundabhesha.
Evacha Patitanam Pavanevya
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Chiropa ki
Jai.
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 Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Rukmini.